Hey friends, welcome back to my studio. I'm so glad you're here with me today. We're gonna paint a fun winter church. Look at that, I painted it with a palette knife. This time I'm gonna paint it with a brush. It's part of a winter Christmas collection I did before I started doing YouTube videos. I don't know if you can tell it that's a palette knife. I don't know if it'll focus. Isn't that fun? I drew a traceable. In case you guys want that, the traceable's on my website, annietroe.com. Okay, let's get started. Okay, let's set the table. I have a 6" by 8" canvas panel from Michaels. It's already gessoed. You can, paint white on there, paint gesso on there if you like. I like clear gesso. Some people like white gesso. And then I took my traceable and I just kind of figured out where my horizon line is and put a little mark. And then I took my little handy dandy T-square and a General's charcoal pencil. You can use watercolor pencil. You can use graphite. The graphite doesn't dissolve into the paint as easily. And I drew a line. I've already got a palette started because I've been painting Christmas ornaments and other things. So this is Phthalo Blue Green shade and Neutral Gray 5. That's the secret sauce for making sort of a vintage looking snow scene. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, that's totally opinion, but I really like it. I use this color combination a lot for snow. I'm sure sometime down the line I will change it up just because I want to see what else I like. This is titanium white. These are all Liquitex. And then I've mixed puddles of blue gray. So not as much phthalo blue in any of these puddles, and the lighter they get, the more white they have in them. It takes a lot more gray than it does phthalo blue green shade. I'm going to paint my background, and then I'll be back in a bit. I don't think there's anything else. Oh, here, this might help you guys before I go. So I'm going to use just a little burnt umber for like the fence posts. And then the arms of the snowman. I'm going to use, you could use cad yellow. I'm going to use cadmium free yellow medium. It's an opaque color. I'm just trying to use up this tube because I like the option of a semi-transparent yellow because I can always add a little bit of white to get this. And you can use any blue. You don't have to use phthalo blue. I just like the combination. I like that slight green tint to it. I'm going to use Hooker's Green in the trees, which will almost look black sometimes. Oh, and I'm also going to use this Hooker Green for the details in the church, like the top of the steeple, the roof. And then you could use a cad red, but I think I'm just going to use Quinachridone Magenta and mix it with the yellow to get some reds and oranges. Because I just need a little orange for the carrot nose and a little red for the cardinals. There's a little teeny cardinal. There's one right there at the top of the roof, and then there's one right there on the fence. Okay, that way you know the colors. Oh, you might want a little Mars black for the buttons on the snowman. You could use a really dark blue. Excuse me, my voice kind of squeaked there. A dark blue. Okay, we'll go over the colors as I put them out. I'm going to paint the background and I'll be back. Friends, we've got a good start. I'm thinking I might, never mind. I think I'll put out some Hooker's Green But the next step is to let this dry. I'm going to go run a couple errands so it has a chance to dry for an hour or so. I dried it really well with a hair dryer. It still feels warm. But I'll just help it set up. And then this is a printout of the painting I showed in the intro. I've already got a little bit different colors going, but that's totally fine. We can lighten things up if we want. But in general, I've got, sky's darker at the top and gets lighter and grayer as you go down. But I also have a tree line, which I just painted right over to soften that tree line, the top of the tree line, which I think works really well. And then darker down here, I'm just saying that trees are closer. Behind the church, there's going to be some trees off in the distance, but they're darker and closer. And then I just have my ground going from darker to lighter. Okay, I think, and I used a 3/4 inch 19 millimeter Royal and Lang nickel flat brush. It's their Zen line. Where does it say Zen? Right there. And I'm gonna go wash it out. I think that sets us up for the next step. I'll put out some more paint. Well, I'll do the traceable. It's the next step, and put out some more paint. We'll start having fun with the church. I'll be back in a bit. Okay, this is almost 5 hours later, which is good because my background's more set up. Acrylic paint doesn't cure for several days to a week to even longer, depending on the weather in your area. And I messed up, you guys. I did not cover up my palette, so it's been sitting out for a long time. Now I can poke it and there's still a little wet paint in there. I don't know if you can see that. But I'm going to put out fresh paint. I also didn't wash my brush, but I was able to, it wasn't completely dry yet, and I was able to put some hand sanitizer on it, let it set for a minute, or actually wash it out with some water, put some hand sanitizer on it, let that kind of work on the acrylic paint for a bit, and I was able to get all the paint out. So I'm like, okay. I mess up. Alrighty, so I'm going to work on the trees, and then I think I'm going to do the inside of the church windows. They are, in this one, I've got them kind of yellow and orange. And then I'm just going to draw, take a small brush and just outline the windows, and then I'll come back and put the muntins, I think, muntins, the cross pieces in the windows. But I think first trees, so we're going to need some phthalo blue. Because I think, if I remember correctly, when we mix the phthalo blue... Oh, here's a tip. I don't know if I can, if it'll show. So it's my threads are a little dirty on my paint tube, but I wipe it off on a paper towel, so it helps helps it from gluing itself. I need to wash that out to the lid. Of course, I must have done it a couple times. And then these, you just end up peeling off when there's dried paint. Comes right off. I think these are actually more convenient. Okay, that's Hooker's green. And I think we'll just need some titanium white. I don't see I showed my heavy body. This is the basics. I showed the heavy body, I think, in the opening of this video. It's it's running out. So I didn't want it to splatter. And I think I'll start with a dark green, and I'll work up to lighter greens. Now you could paint the trees with a palette knife. I think I'm just gonna paint this one all with a brush. I started acrylic painting by palette knife painting because I wanted to be loose, and I ended up just getting tighter and tighter anyway. I was doing pet portraits with a palette knife. Nothing wrong with it, but it was also taking me longer because it's a little harder. That might end up looking black, which is good. Let's paint this little tree in real time. This is a kneaded eraser. I'm just going to lighten up some of my chalk pastel. The chalk pastel will absorb into the paint, but sometimes if I don't go over it, if this is dry enough too, like the next day or once this tree's pretty dry, I can wash off the chalk pastel. Another reason why I like that better than pencil. Every once in a while I'll get the question, can I use graphite? I'm like, you can use it. Just has some disadvantages, but you can work around them too. This is a 1/4 inch flat brush from Michaels, number 6 Craft Smart. It's just been sitting on my light table, so I've been using it. Use any, you know, you can, I have some nicer, well, because I have some nicer brushes, but I'm like, this one's a little nicer. Oh, it's pretty old. I'm pretty sure this is a Royal and Langnickel, but I've worn the words off the handle. Okay, let's just use this one. So I'm gonna put a little, with the corner of my brush, just a little dab. You could have these all going down direction. I think it's kind of fun sometimes to have some going up, so I just touch. I'm just gonna try and make this random corner. We could put a little tree trunk of that. Whoops, if that helps you. My arm just slipped off my table. Is that what Bob Ross would call a happy accident? Let's see, do we still want kind of up? I always want to line things up. I think random is one of the hardest things for me. Can I go straight? Let's see, I might do the bottom here. I don't paint terribly fast. Don't feel like if you're painting this tree with me in real time, the cool thing I love about YouTube is you can stop it. I actually went up there. I don't know if I wanted to. We kind of want to go down. That's okay. Sometimes those mess ups, things that you didn't want to do, help it look more real. Okay. So I've kind of got these equal, but I also can I can fix that with the next color. Or I can bring that out a little bit. I don't know that that helps at all. All right, I'm going to dry that with a hairdryer and I'll be right back. You don't have to dry that with a hairdryer. I'm just going to show you how you don't have to do wet on wet blending. So I'm going to mix. Do you want to go a little bluer? Oh, stay a little greener. It doesn't really matter. The values are more important. Here, actually, just kind of rinsed and wiped out my brush. Let's make a a little greener. That might be too white. I don't think so. We don't need to go too slow with our values. I'll just do this in a couple values. So in this one, I really don't have a light direction. It's kind of from the top. But the trees, I don't know if you can see it in the printout, I've got a little lighter on the left. And my shadows, well, here I've got a shadow on both sides, but this side of the church is a little darker than this side, so I have a little bit of light. Well, and then on the snowman, the light's actually coming from the church, is what I'm saying, but the shadow's over here too, but Yeah, I pretty much have the light on the left and shadows on the right. The fence post shadows, church shadow. So we'll stick our sun. There's not a lot of sun. It's snowing. But we'll just say our light's coming from over there, so we remember. Okay, we'll take this green. So with this color, I don't know that it matters too much. And if I cover up too much of my tree, oh, that's about the same value. I can come back in and I can mix some of my phthalo blue-green shade in neutral gray 5 and put some holes back in it. I think I'll just do that. Maybe I may have to mix another value. That's pretty close. Trying to leave some of my darks. I kind of want to. How do I know where to do this? Mostly my biggest thought is leave some darks. I pretty much made that straight across. Okay, let's mix a lighter. I'm just wiping my brush off on a paper towel. Dip it in a little water, and it doesn't have to be super clean. Oops, I was looking for my palette knife. Okay, let's try this again. So depending on the time of year, if it were like springtime, you might want to add a little yellow and make your greens warmer. Add yellow and white. But since this is a cool winter painting, I don't mind at all. Sometimes artists will call this looking chalky because it's got so much white in it. Sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes. We'll see if it's a good thing as we go here. All right, let's do this again. Okay, I could dry it with a hair dryer, but I didn't want to stop the video. So that I pretty much put that one over that last brush stroke because they're really blending in. I might just pretty much go over because that, I don't know if you can see that, but that's so dark you don't even notice it. Acrylics will dry about a half shade darker. Oh, I don't know if I like what I just did there. I think we'll just leave it. I think messing with it isn't going to make it better. And you'll see things in your painting that you don't like that nobody else sees. You know, I might see, oh, I really hate that brush stroke, but most people are looking at the whole painting. You know, and it looks painterly if it's not perfect. I think that first one we mixed was too dark, but that's good. You can see how I solve problems and how I handle it. Eventually we'll have a shadow. A little bit of a shadow. And I'm gonna grab a little bit of my dark. I don't know if I like that. Kind of break that up. I think I do kind of like that. Okay, this I'm going to dry with my hair dryer. And I think we'll just, so basically we'll have a 3 value tree. 4 if you count my mistake. Mistakes, I'm making mistakes today. I'm going to dry this with a hair dryer. We'll add some white and we'll see how it looks. One thing nice about drying with a hair dryer, it helps you stop and pause, and maybe some thoughts will pop into your head. And one thing I was thinking is maybe we don't want quite white. You can play with this, but we could put only like whites in the church to make it come forward, and maybe some whites in the snowman. Or no whites. Always have it slightly muted. Oh, that's such a pretty mint color. So my other painting, I had more blue in my tree, which is another thought I had. So I don't think we'll put white, and we might come back at the end and put some white if we decide we want to punch it up some. Okay, so let's try to be random and then try to be less. And then I'm going to keep my whites over on this side and then have them cross the middle a little bit sometimes, if that makes sense. Or like maybe there because it's catching the sun. And look, it looks quite white against those darker colors, darker values. So this is the snow. I don't know, do I want to, I'll just emphasize that one a little bit. And I'm thinking be random. Yeah, that's a good one to cross over with. And that one's drawing darker on me. Sometimes you might need another coat, or we may want to go white. And I've pretty much lost the center, which is fine. This is a very healthy tree. And that's not going to show. Which is okay. Okay. So, pine tree. Hope that helped a little bit. I'm going to work on I'm going to fill in the windows on the church. Actually, I'm going to work on this other tree and time lapse it and fill in the windows of the church with yellow. This yellow. And I might put out a little Quinachridone Magenta and make a little bit of an orange, give it a warmer glow. And then I'll be back in a bit. Hey friends, just a couple quick thoughts. When I put in the yellow, I always forget, even though I said earlier this is an opaque yellow, I always forget when I paint with it because I'm just used to the semi-transparent. It's whatever you like, use. But I liked how I'm kind of getting a frosted glass look because some of the blue from the background is coming through. And not as much blue comes through because this is a lighter blue back here. But I ended up just taking a brush. This was dry, but not that dry. I took a brush, got it wet, and I just kind of scrubbed it so you can see some of the blue. I like that. I think I'm going to like that better. It's kind of a frosted window look. The green is just Hooker's green and white. I started working on the steeple. I painted in this detail with some straight up neutral gray 5, just because I don't want to lose it. But I'm going to go back to painting the green trim around the doors and things. I think that's about it. Oh, and I did put up some straight up phthalo blue. I don't know if it even matters in the tree. Can you see that? I think it's a little richer, but I think that's also getting picky. There's a little blue there, a little blue there, just to give it some depth. I think I'm probably going to end up putting just little hints of white on the trees just because I like the drama and I like the value changes. Okay, I'll be back in a bit. I thought I'd pop in because I'm putting a little bit of snow on the church. So I took a little bit of white and made it really light green. Could use white. And I'm just gonna, I've got a #1 round from Artist Loft, which is Michael's. I'm just gonna kind of dab, wiggle a little, skip. Cool. I don't know if it'll work if I probably leave that alone. I did paint the sides of the window so I wouldn't lose them. I ended up not having to remake too much of them. I ended up using a little blue to get a shadow in the door. I feel like my, I mean, this looks equal, but I feel like my door leans to the right here. I wonder if everything kind of leans to the right. Of course, this is an old country church. Maybe if I pull that out a little, let's grab some straight up Hooker's green. Oh boy, I don't know if that's any better. Just put a doorknob on it. This is my Hooker's green and phthalo blue green shade. Of course, it's like, okay, how tall would the people be? So actually the doorknob, if like their heads were here, sometimes I put the doorknobs on too high. Nope, that's not. Let's try just dabbing. All right. I just thought you might like to see a little demo of that. The church, this actually has some blue. Can you see that? That's actually the blue background coming through. I did make sure I covered over the horizon line that was running behind the church. And there's little hints of blue. Not a lot, but peeking through. Or you could come back and there's some blue there and just put some blue in. I kind of like that there's some blue coming through here. I don't know if you can see it. Like, so I have a little lighter, kind of medium for the other one. So you have a little bit of a sun direction. What else? I kind of like this messy. Oh, the blocks, I just used a little flat brush. It's getting worn out. It won't stay together. And then just made some strokes. I think that's about it. I think I'm gonna quit for tonight. My paints are drying. It's October 2022 as I'm painting this, getting ready to take stuff to the galleries. And I can tell the air's drier. My paint wants to dry out quicker. Oh, here, we could do a little... You know, on this one, I had white. But maybe I'll do dark and then highlight with some white. Just see what we think. This is more, I had more muted, and here I did straight up Hooker's green, but I kind of like it. I mean, I like both of them. I still feel like my door leans, but I'm not going to worry about it. It's hard to get things straight. Yeah, I mean, speaking of, actually the kind of changes in paint, just because you lay it down and you run out of paint, that actually I think helps. And then even the different thicknesses is fine. Like that cross is skinnier than that one. All right, let's so the number 1 round from Michaels, kind of thinning it out because it'll flow a little bit better. Kind of make a, and then roll it to a point can help. And then we're just gonna do it. So a light, let's see, my in frame, a light touch. Oop, that's really light. Oh, and I wiggled. Let's try it again. I think I have it too thin. All right, let's let that one dry. That's better. I don't know if I need more paint, but I'm just gonna get it. I didn't really get any more paint. I don't know if that one's dry enough. Then we'll go cross, cross, cross. Oh, I just heard what I said. Oh, you know what? My cross up here is pretty little. Of course, I don't know if I want to fix that actually, because the cross, I've got this part of the cross pretty low. I think we'll leave that. I could put a little more contrast. You can keep playing with the values a lot. I think my shadow might be a little big here. All right, let's. You kind of get the hang of it after you do a couple. And then you relax. And then you make a mistake. Or at least I do. I shouldn't say you do, I do. Okay, let's put one. Hopefully when I lay my hand down, those are gonna be dry. Let's put one. You could get out the traceable. So I'm kind of looking at this line too. And if I don't get it straight, I don't get it straight. But let's do the middle one first. That's really light. Feels like I've got paint. Yeah, it's kind of crooked too. That's right, gives it character. Well, that's not too bad. And then we'll just split this in half. And if it's not quite, totally okay if it's not quite half. Maybe I'll make this kind of equal distance and not worry about if the top one's bigger. Yeah, I think that'll look good. We'll let it dry and we'll just put some white on it like it's snow. I think I'm gonna like that better. Okay guys, I'm gonna paint the rest of the windows and I'll be back tomorrow. It's getting late. Okay, I thought I'd pop in just because it's been a little bit and talk about what the heck I've been doing. So I added some white snow on the ledge, some white on the crossbars and the upright, painted the fence. You could mute it down. It's straight up burnt umber. You could put a little blue in it and gray it out. Put out some matte medium. That's right here, so that I could glaze some shadows. I don't know if I needed it. Glaze some shadows of the trees so they're not floating. Shadows. I put in a lot of shadows and snow. That's what I've really been up to. And then glazed like a little light glow in front of the church on the step. So basically I'm kind of like, I've got one here, one here, and one here, because I'm going to put glow on the snowman. Here, we can do it. This I've been using just little brushes. This one comes to a better point. It's a #1 from Artist Loft. I think this is supposed to be smaller from Royal and Langnickel, but I've abused it so much that it isn't anymore. Used a little 1/4" flat brush. And I lost some edges. You know, I put an edge in and then sometimes I come back and take an edge out. Like the snow has blown across the path. I think that's kind of fun. No, I think I used this one too. That's probably, I don't know what size that is. Here. Oh, maybe it says on it. It says number 10. Oh, it's probably 3/8. Oh no, 5/8. It's bigger than a 1/2 inch. Go the right direction. Anyway, I'm just pretty much using small brushes. This is a small painting. Used a little orange to start putting in, I put the nose in a couple of the cardinals just so I remember them. It'll make it a little easier to paint the red over. Or you could paint white. Okay, what was I gonna... Oh, glow on the snowman. So this is a little yellow, a little white, a little matte medium. I'll just put some on right now. And I might need stronger yellow. I don't know. Oh no, I think that's gonna work. Snowman glow. Isn't that fun? I don't know if you need the matte medium. I like it because sometimes the water, the paint will get too thin on me, and I can even see like the little like sandy texture to it because it's the pigment floating around in there. I think I might want to lighten that up a little bit. That's getting picky. I don't know if you need to. Okay, I'm going to stop for dinner here. One thing that just popped into my head. So I have whites here, and I don't have whites in my tree. I don't think it matters. These trees are pretty close. You could put some white in them, or you could leave. If you don't, it kind of pushes them back a little bit. Kind of softens them just a little. I don't know if that's showing up in the video, if you can see that. Here. Grab some straight up white and see what you think. Of course, you might like it because it'll add some more interest to the trees. Do we like that better? If you don't, you can come back with some, here, that color right there, and darken them. I wasn't gonna add it, but this will show you guys in real time. And hopefully you can see it on video. I could even leave the white, not put the white up higher and leave it more down this way. I think it works either way. Whatever you guys want to do. Okay, now I'll be back tomorrow. Hey friends, what do you think? This just makes me happy. I love it. I love snow. I love the winter scene. Here, we'll do a little tour. The snowman's cute. What else? Oh, this little cardinal is just a blob. I don't know if it'll focus. And then I just put like a little black face on it. It's kind of looking this way. And then this little cardinal, you can see, whoops, it's not focusing. You see a little better. You know, I have a newer iPhone and my old one focused better. I think that's kind of funny. Put a little white snow on top of the fence. Not everywhere. If it's everywhere, it's nowhere. So just, I did put it on the top of all 3 posts, but I just put a little line and blob. I splattered very little. I've used a toothbrush. You could just dot it. Oh, here's something I haven't talked about. You could stick like the rounded end of a paintbrush, and we'll just put in some white paint here. And then I've got plenty of dots, but I'll make another one. And you could make snow dots by just stamping them on there. I don't know if you could see that. It was kind of small. There, it's a bigger one. I use this one with like that will wiggle a little more. And then you get your paint about the consistency of milk. If it's not splattering well for you, add a little more water. I just put a few of the darkish bluish ones and quite a few of the white ones. Did I like quit the tour there? Here, let's just start this over again. Isn't that fun? Things aren't straight. Things are kind of wonky. That's okay. I like the white on the pine trees. I like the extra dimension. So the white's only on this side and then it gets a little darker as you go to the right. I did add a little bit hint of some trees back here with some blue, but not a lot. I like that this pretty much disappears. It could show up more. It's not like it's right or wrong. Just things I like about it. It's fun. It's a fairly simple design for painting. So the snowman's looking at the church, the cardinal's looking at the church, the fence leads you into the church, the pathway leads you into the church. I mean, the church is in the middle, so it's the star of the show. And you bounce between, I think, the snowman and the church. But you've also got like kind of this going on. So this almost got a little too tall. It could be a little shorter. I got it a little too tall maybe. Or make the cross a little higher. I think in my traceable, which I don't have on me, it's better. But anyway, you kind of have you kind of have this going on where you look at things in a circle, or you could go this way. I think that's about it. Maybe you want a screenshot. I don't know if I've been remembering to do that lately. Grab one. Oh, I sent my iPad. So let me hold that thought for a second. I'm gonna spray this to help preserve my paints. And then I'll put this in a gallon bag, which also helps. I like a little terrarium, a gallon baggie. Because I do that just on the off chance. So once this dries, I'll put a gel gloss isolation layer. And then after that gel gloss dries, I think it gives it more depth and juiciness to the colors. I'll put a satin UV varnish on it. But just in case I want to touch something up, the painting gets damaged. I mean, I know what colors these are. I could mix them again, but I've also got my palette that I've saved. Okay. The other O was, I will link this in the video description. I think I already mentioned this. This is day 3 for this painting. I didn't paint much more than an hour on it today. But I have a traceable for this church and snowman, very similar, but this is an 8" by 8" square. And we did it in 2 lives. So if you want more of a step-by-step, you might like this one. They're the same basic idea, just a little bit different colors, a little bit different churches. The different colors would be, I believe that was a dark, you could use Quinachridone Magenta here, but I'm just like 99.9% sure. Oh yeah, I use this cadmium red deep hue for the reds in the church. Okay guys, let me know if you like this one. I super appreciate you telling your friends and all your support. I'm having a blast hanging out with other creatives here on YouTube. Great, big, happy art hugs, and I hope to chat with you soon. Bye guys.